still, it's like,
Yeah. I had a student about a month ago. She purchased a gun, and she said, "Well, I didn't know how to shoot it." I'm like, "Okay, all right, hey, 2 years later, hey, better late than never." And so I said, "Well, you know what? Let me show you how to break the gun down and field strip it and clean it." Man, when I looked in that gun, it had so much lint and dust in there. It looked like how it looks underneath your bed if you hadn't
wow.
swept underneath there in a year or two. And I'm looking, and I'm like, you see, and I let her know. I said, "You see this right here? This is what can cost you your life." And lo and behold, guess what? We were getting failure to feeds. Now I cleaned the gun thoroughly. And we were still getting the failure to feed, and I told her, I said, "Hey, look, you got a Smith & Wesson. All Smith & Wessons have a lifetime warranty on it. Call them in the morning, have them, let them know what's going on, and tell them that you need to get this repaired. And they're not gonna charge you for it." And she went ahead and did it, and thank God she went ahead and got a cleaning kit. And she remembered how, and I let anybody know. I'm like, "Hey, I don't care what kind of gun you got. There's a video of it on YouTube. Also, normally there's a video showing you how to break the gun down and how to clean it. Use YouTube." Yeah, exactly.
YouTube's gotten so strict lately. I mean, you gotta look outside YouTube and go to like what is it, like GunTuber or just yeah. It's sad, but yeah, you're right though. You're right. You can find a video, and especially as far as stripping down your certain firearms and everything, because you gotta take care of it. I agree.
Exactly. So and now by me being prior military, that's a number one thing for me is, hey, cleaning the doggone gun, or rifle. I'm like, hey, you gotta make sure that this thing is clean, because when you need it, you don't want to have to sit there and be like, "Man, I sure wish I would have cleaned that gun." No, I was looking at, it was amazing. Last year they were having the riots in Atlanta, and they were breaking into the CNN building. And
I remember that.
I took the advantage at that point to say, "Hey, you know what? I need to start practicing what I preach. Let me go ahead while I'm sitting here doing nothing in the house," because I was quarantining, trying to not get COVID. And I'm like, "You know what? Let me go ahead and clean and oil and, all my rifles and pistols." I went ahead and did that. And it took me the better part of maybe about 4 hours to do it. But I went ahead and did it, and I had to make sure that, my magazines were topped off and all that good stuff, because, you never want, unfortunately, we wait until something is happening before we're prepared. My barber, he had to come to me last year and say, "Man, I apologize. All these years you kept telling us to go ahead and arm ourselves, to make sure that we had enough ammunition out there, to make sure that our family and ourselves are safe." That was something that came back, and they were like, "Man, now we see what you were talking about." So now when I go get my hair cut now, I'm the main guy in there that everybody's normally asking questions. Oh, and to add to that, all of the barbers in my barbershop, they came, matter of fact, I took my, all my supplies and information for when I do my classes, my projector screen, computer, laptop, all of that. I took it to the barbershop. When they closed one night, all of the barbers in my barbershop got their concealed weapon certification. And as of today, all of them have their license and they are armed when they're in the shop cutting.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, and I let them know. I'm like, you guys deal in the industry where you kept, most of your money that you get is cash. Mm-hmm. And at that point, keep in mind, you had all of these companies, businesses that were closing. People were becoming desperate. and even now we're what, the 23rd of October. So we know that, guess what? We got the holidays coming up.
Oh God, yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, the holidays are coming up. I mean, you're gonna have people that are gonna crime is gonna increase. I mean, why be a victim when you don't have to be?
Right, and the other thing that's going to attribute to that is the fact that the police budget cuts and the bringing in of brand new police officers, so you don't have the officers that might be familiar with the community. I mean, I guess on the plus side, that means you get rid of the bad ones too, but nonetheless, you know, your police force isn't the same anymore. So ultimately, you are going to have to police yourself, especially seeing how in Atlanta, you've got, I think there's been a large increase of crime, and there's still the whole sliding thing going on where people will slide into your vehicle, take your purse, your wallet, whatever you got sitting in the seat. You can guarantee that's going to happen with the gifts and everything that you have in your car, if not the whole entire car. So you are going to have to be your first and possibly last line of defense, because by the time the police show up, the main job they will do is make a report. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. They're doing their job, but nonetheless, they have to make a report about what happened so they can follow up on it in order to put the leads together to catch the criminal. And me, I definitely don't want to be a report that's going to help catch the criminal. If anything, I'm trying to stop the criminal. You know, I don't want to be commando or anything, but if I have to try and protect my life or the life of the people that are with me at the moment, something's got to give, and it's not going to be me.
Exactly. I mean, at least having a firearm gives you a fighting chance of survival, whereas not having one, you have little to no chance. You know, you're basically at the mercy of the person that is committing the crime towards you.
Right. If they even have any mercy, because nowadays you can't even have a old school gentleman's fight anymore without somebody pulling out a gun.
Oh no, exactly. You know, so
yeah, times definitely changed, and nothing is really the same anymore.
Times have changed. That's those are three words, man, that a lot of people, you know, they don't realize. And you know, I've had clients to come to me that, you know, they say, well, I want a gun because somebody stopped me for road rage and everything. I'm like, look, I said, first and foremost, if somebody's doing road rage out there, they're probably willing to go. You never know what kind of day that person has had. You never know that person may be out to just, hey, end their life and your life, you know? So
yeah, right.
Even with me, I could think back. I mean, hell, I'm not gonna be the Monday morning quarterback. I can remember when I was in my 20s, I was a hothead. I thank God that I got through that without, you know, either one getting killed or, you know, or getting put in jail for some reason, because of the fact that nowadays people, hey, if you get out your car or something, hey, you know what? That person may be coming to shoot you. You may have to shoot them. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to have to shoot anybody, you know, ever. I just want to be able to protect myself if I ever had to. But I don't look forward to it. No.
And it's good that you brought that up, because I think that's one of the disconnects that happens between Black society and gun ownership. You know, it doesn't matter if you're putting out that negative YouTube image of, you know, I'm gangster, or you're just trying to quote unquote live the life. You know, the minute that I hear somebody talk about firearms and they followed up with something like exactly what you said, you know, I plan on shooting somebody, you know, which you said, I don't plan on shooting anybody. I've got the same mentality. So obviously you're practicing it's a forever evolving practice of de-escalation, which is exactly right. And that's one of the main things that needs to be brought into the education of our people, because just to have a gun in case somebody crosses you or does something that you don't like, it doesn't make any sense, and you might as well just go ahead and turn yourself into the jail right away, because that's where you're going.
Exactly.
And it reminds me. I think she might still be one of my listeners, but she's one of the first people I told about the whole podcast. I asked her if she had any firearm insurance, and I asked another one of my coworkers if they had firearm insurance because she was thinking about carrying. She actually wanted to open carry, which I got my feelings about that. You know, I think there's a time and a place and a season, but nonetheless, if that's what they want to do, cool. But there's so many points of disconnect with this whole mentality to the point where there's no further understanding, and I really would like to see that change, especially with firearm insurance, because if you do have to unfortunately discharge your firearm at somebody or into somebody, you're not going to just say, well, my job is done and go back home. No, you are going to, you probably could be going to jail, if not going to jail, and you are going to face a trial, which means that you will need legal representation, somebody to stand up and tell your side of the story. And the other thing is, you do not tell your side of the story until you have legal representation, because you're literally working against somebody who has your best interests in mind. So
exactly.
So many different disconnects that are out there that need to be connected. What do you think are some of the other disconnects that are out there between Black society and gun ownership?
Well, also I want to go ahead and add to the fact that even during my classes, last May of 2020, I went and got firearms insurance because of the fact that I had to think, I'm like, I only pay what, $11, $12 a month. I'm like, man, I go spend that on a burger and fries. You know, why not have that investment to where I'm able to go ahead and have this, and I can have an attorney ready for me if I ever needed one, you know, because I guarantee you, and I tell all I tell them I'm not an attorney, but I'm going to give you some common sense knowledge information. Hey, the police are not trying to protect you when they ask you these questions. They're trying to get information out of you. And I'm like, hey, look, you should never talk to the police unless you have an attorney present with you. Okay, right. Especially after you've been through a traumatic experience as a shooting. You know, I mean, and also I let them know that, hey, you know what? When you're talking to 911 and you're talking to that operator, hey, you know what? That is being recorded and can be used against you in the court of law. You know,
just like the body cams too.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you up there running your mouth, but guess what? They steady taping. You know, and if you don't have anything that's going to be in your favor, now they're going to present this to to a jury, and guess what? That jury is going to be looking at the same thing that everybody else is going to look at, and you're going to be in that seat saying, dang, I didn't know I was doing that, you know? So, you know, that I try to give them common sense information as well, you know, but I do let them know that, hey, I'm not an attorney. I'm not trying to give you legal advice or anything like that. I'm just giving you common sense knowledge, and I'm telling you the truth, you know. But I'm sorry, but what was your question again, though?
No, I mean, that's all. That's definitely good information, especially seeing as how you let them know you're not an attorney, but still, you let them know what the exact thing they need to utilize is. So that's always good. I usually try and do the same thing as well whenever I'm talking with other people regarding firearms. But the question was, what do you see as a disconnect with Black society and gun ownership?
Well, I'm glad you got that question in, because the disconnect actually happened a couple of generations ago. Think about this. I went to college in Montgomery, Alabama, at Alabama State. So the one thing that Montgomery, Alabama has in Black history is the Montgomery bus boycott. Also, Rosa Parks. Also, Martin Luther King and Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. All right. So if you think about it, I know people that knew Rosa Parks and her family personally. Okay. And they would always tell me that, hey, you know what? And then you can think about this even with your own family. My grandparents had guns. Okay, whether it be a rifle, a shotgun, a Saturday night special, they had guns. Their parents had guns. Where I think the disconnect came in is my parents did not own guns. Okay, and they were, I guess they were in that generation where, well, I'm not gonna say that, I guess. I know that they were in that generation where they were trying to get their civil rights. They weren't really caring about the Second Amendment at that point. They were trying to get the right to vote, the right for, Black people to be equal on an equal playing field as whites. So they didn't really care that much about the Second Amendment. My generation didn't, but I owed it to our race to start my daughter, okay, with familiarity with the Second Amendment, gun ownership, and I'm thinking that it's coming back around again, and I'm hoping that it is, because of the fact that there were two generations. I know for a fact, in some cases, some families, maybe 3 generations, to where nobody had a firearm, or they were afraid to own a firearm. And I damn sure know that there wasn't no training back then. Okay. So, the main thing is that, now I want to start something new with my family. And I started off with my daughter and myself with saying, hey, I'm a Second Amendment advocate. My daughter is a Second Amendment advocate. I hope that at some point when she has children, that she would teach the same thing to her children, and so forth and so on. So, a lot of things get lost if it's not taught to us. So, I did my family, and I hope that other people's families that are African American, that they do the same, because my main thing is this: I'm always letting them know, hey, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. We were too hell-bent on getting our voting rights, civil rights, and all of that, to where the Second Amendment was so far along down the line that, it really, most, you got to think, a lot of people don't even know what the Second Amendment is that are of color, and that's a shame, because the Second Amendment, is there to protect all other amendments, so, but, I can only I'm only one person, and I try to do what I can do, and I try to spread that to all others that are like me, to make sure that, hey, you know what, teach your kids. I had matter of fact, I was talking to a young lady yesterday. She's got a nephew. Nephew is what, 13, 14 years old. She thought that he was too young to be able to learn how to shoot a gun. I'm like, they're never too young. And I've seen, white kids at the gun range 3, 4 years old learning how to shoot. So no, they are never too young to learn how to shoot. Put a gun in their hand.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I also think, because I did a episode about this too, as far as gun safety in the house and cars. I think it boils down to the type of relationship and connection that you have with your kids, because if your kid is a badass and you teach them how to shoot a firearm, there's a good chance that they might do the whole emotional thing and then go and either invite a friend into the parents' room, and especially if the parents not being responsible and they had a firearm out in the open or underneath the bed or in a sock in a drawer or something. I don't know. There's crazy people out there. So let's be real.
It starts off with the parents. So you got to be a responsible gun owner first, before you teach anything, and, so as me as a responsible parent, I'm like, look, but I also got to admit that I didn't start teaching my daughter until she was in her 20s of how to shoot. So I can be, at fault as well, because when my daughter was in grade school, I never thought about teaching her how to shoot a gun. That's the last thing I was thinking about. Matter of fact, it was really the last thing I was thinking about. Back in 2009, there was an event that prompted me to go ahead and start to purchase a firearm. I already knew how to shoot from my military days, but it's amazing. It was in the apartment complex I lived in. There were, I guess, break-ins that were happening. And about 2:00 one morning, there was a loud thud at my front door. And in my haste to get out the bed and to try to arm myself, you know what I armed myself with? A broom. I had a broom.
You sitting there looking like the lady off of Predator 2.
Exactly. I had a dang old broom. And luckily, when I opened up the door, it was a tree that had hit my door, so I was fine. But at that point, I looked at myself and I had that moment of clarity, and I'm like, I need to go get a firearm. And at that moment going forward, and then I found out some good close friends of mine were firearm owners, and they had already been to the range. And at that point, man, we started going to the range together and started shooting. And you know how it is in the industry. Hey, one gun turns into about 20 or 30 guns, later. So
you ain't even tried. It's just like they multiply like rabbits.
Exactly. So so that was my aha moment that got me into the Second Amendment.
Shoot, my aha moment happened back 2017, 2018. I purchased a Mossberg Maverick. And it really should have happened long ago before then, like around maybe, I think it was 2010, maybe 2009, because I was living in an apartment in Riverdale, Georgia, and I don't know why it's so rough out there, but that's how they want it to be, so okay, cool. I wasn't complaining because the rent was cheap. It was about $400 something per month with water included, so hey, cool. But my apartment flooded, and it happened on a Sunday. I ended up calling the apartment maintenance, the emergency line. So the person that came to my door, just regular old black dude. I'm looking for some dude wearing, at least some coveralls or a maintenance shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't see that. This dude rolled to the door. His t-shirt said 365.5 pure hustle. And I happen to have, it wasn't necessarily an actual katana, but nonetheless, it still had a sharp point, and it could definitely stop people if need be.
Right.
So when I looked through that peephole and I saw that t-shirt, I went and got it real quick, and I opened the door. He comes in. I'm like, "What's up?" He said, "Yeah, I'm the maintenance man." Oh, okay.
And you had a sword, a Japanese sword.
Yeah. And the next thing he said was, "Oh shit," because as soon as he set foot into the apartment, the first thing you heard was because it had flooded that much.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but still, you're gonna be maintenance. You gotta look like maintenance. You can't just roll up in a 365.5 pure hustle t-shirt.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm just glad now I finally made a connection, because mainly all this COVID stuff, and something in the back of my mind told me that people were gonna start getting a little bit more crazy. They're gonna start acting out a little bit more emotionally, and with the writing on the wall, I said, let me just make sure I can protect myself and my girlfriend, because this ain't gonna get any better anytime soon. So from 2017, 2018 until March 2020, way before the prices shot through the roof, and I could find stuff, because one of the skills I realized I had was being able to acquire items on the fly, or at least get them started in the work, so I can get them eventually further on down the line. And that's ultimately how I ended up getting most of my firearms, because I found different websites. I found different places where I go pick them up, legal places, mind you. Because there's a story I've been talking about at the airport where they were trying to import firearms to St. Martin, but that's another story.
Oh,
Yeah, anytime you purchase something out of somebody's trunk, it's just not legal. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, met up with several different FFLs, found certain things that were kind of hard to find, got my ammo, so on and so forth. I was stocked, and that was good. I was also stocking up just in case there's a food shortage, like there is kind of right now, and if medication got short as well. So I was just trying to prepare for the worst. So I actually ended up getting a little bit more into the prepper mindset as well. So 2020 was a year of growth for me and a year of first experiences, if you will.
right.
But it needed to be done.
That's true. That is true. So, I mean, but we all learn. So, that's the key thing. That we all learn, and as I tell anybody, hey, everybody had to learn was a beginner at some point and had to learn from somebody. So, I try not to make myself to be the one that knows all when it comes to firearms, because hey, I'm still trying to learn. Hey, matter of fact, I got a training that I'm doing with the Jedi Master in Georgia in February, because I actually last year I got my first red dot pistol. Got that, and I kind of self-taught myself, but I felt that what, if I'm going to use this as a weapon of protection, or EDC, I'll need to make sure that I'm on, I got all the knowledge that I need, and I want to go to the number one aficionado out there, and then maybe I can go ahead and use what I've learned to go ahead and teach it in my classes as well.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. And I personally, I think I should consider actually traveling to meet up with certain teachers, because one of my goals, especially seeing as how I'm still learning in this sphere, is I would like to become an instructor. But there's certain things, and let's just say quote unquote fears I got to get over as far as dealing with firearms, because the movies have a big impact on you, and I think that's another disconnect that we deal with as well, just in society in general. Because I told this before, but Sin City, I don't know if you've seen that movie before.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it's based on a comic book by Frank Miller, and there was a scene where a guy was being chased down, a crooked cop was being chased down because he did something to this one dude's girlfriend, and there was a group of assassins with a dude that was chasing him down. So there's one female assassin, actually they were all female, but she was like kind of Asian influenced, right? So she threw this little dart or a pipe or something to the crooked police officer's firearm, and the guy that was chasing him down said, "Don't shoot. It's going to misfire. It's going to blow back at you." The dude was like, "Yeah, whatever." So he shoots the firearm, and the slide pops off it goes towards his head. It pops off the gun and flies backwards and impales dude in the skull. So yeah, that I know that I doubt that can happen, but still, that's one of the things that is kind of in the back of my mind when I'm shooting my pistols, because I'm thinking to myself, definitely make sure it's clean, because you don't want to pop it into your forehead. But I doubt that can happen, right?
Right. Well, you never know. I wouldn't want to try it.
I don't want to find out. I mean, movies, man,